What's happening, guys? Acrinator here, and welcome to another episode of World of Warcraft Dungeon Overview. Last episode we got a look at Shadowfang Keep, and this episode we're going to take a look at Blackfathom Deeps. I'm going to run through it with my level 100 Feral Worgen Druid right there. And with that being said, let's get straight into it. Long ago, Blackfathom Deeps was a temple dedicated to the Night Elven moon goddess Elune. However, it was laid to ruin after the Sundering at the end of the War of the Ancients. The temple remained untouched by anything but the Veiled Sea for many years, until the forces of the old gods decided to set up shop in the Forgotten Holy Grounds. The original dungeon's denizens included mostly Naga, satyrs, and a few mind-controlled murlocs. Together, these malevolent forces sought to summon the old gods' harbinger Akumai, a terrible three-headed hydra, so that it may pave the way for the old gods' glorious return to the mortal plane. While players going through the classic dungeon didn't make it in time to stop the summoning of this monstrous force, they were successful in beating Akumai into submission, preventing the beginning of the end, so to speak. During the Draenor revamp, most of the Naga and the Satyrs were replaced due to their previous failure, with various members of the Twilight's Hammer cult. While the mobs are mostly different, the plan is pretty much the same this time around, to resummon Akumai and bring about the end of the world. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Such is the fate of the Twilight's Hammer, as they do little different this time around compared to their predecessor's attempt. Once again, adventurers are gathered to enter the ancient temple and take out all traces of the Twilight's Hammer in order to stop their evil from wreaking havoc on the world. Blackfathom Deeps is a level 20 to 30 dungeon located on the Zoram strand of the northwestern corner of Ashenvale. While the dungeon wasn't given a complete makeover during the release of Warlords of Draenor, most of the old mobs, including the bosses, were changed. Aside from a few Naga, you shouldn't have any real problems making your way into the dungeon regardless of which faction you're on. The entrance is pretty easy to find once you make your way to the Zoram strand, being that you just look for the largest part of the ruins near the beach and go down. Of course, if you do manage to get lost in your journeys, just follow the path you see me taking in this video and you should be able to find your way in no time. The first boss of Blackfathom Deeps is Gamu Ra. This massive tortoise was one of the last peaceful denizens of the temple, that is, until the Twilight's Hammer cult got their hands on it. They flayed Gamu Ra's mind until it finally succumbed to madness. It is now forced to defend the cultist's lair from any and all outsiders foolish enough to try and enter their domain. Gamu Ra doesn't really have any notable mechanics to its fight, besides the fact that it has an impressive amount of physical damage resistance. If your group is melee heavy or has undergeared casters, then this fight might take quite a bit of time to finally down the sucker. Other than that, it really doesn't do any abilities or damage that are worth mentioning. The second boss of Blackfathom Deeps is Domina. Domina is a forsaken member of the Twilight's Hammer cult. She seems to have a love, an obsession even, with Akumai, because she'll go as far as to hand-feed innocents to the beast. There are almost no lengths she won't go to in order to gain the favor of the old gods. Domina has only one notable ability, Maw of Death, which damages all players standing in a cone directly in front of her for large amounts of shadow damage. For the most effective results against Domina, stick to the age-old saying, "Don't stand in the fire." The third boss of Blackfathom Deeps is Subjugator Gore. Gore is a faceless one that was tasked by the Twilight's Hammer to either subjugate or destroy anything in the temple that wasn't under their control. He started his work with the Murlocs that were formerly under the Naga's control, killing their leader in order to prevent any from usurping against the cult. Now most of the remaining Murlocs are too afraid to fight back, cowering from the cult's might. During the fight, Gore will summon Akumai to feed, spawning giant tentacles throughout the chamber. Players just have to avoid standing too close to the tentacles, and try not to notice the Murlocs in the background being crushed and dragged to their deaths. The fourth boss of Blackfathom Deeps is Throck. I'm gonna read directly from the dungeon journal here, because I don't think that I could ever do Throck justice otherwise. Throck brings many valuable qualities to the Twilight's Hammer, but intelligence is not among them. Convinced that slaying the Guardian of the Deep will reveal vast hoards of gold, Throck's diminutive mind has no room to focus on anything else, and he will fillet the flesh of anyone who breaks his concentration. During the fight, Throck will randomly cast Catch of the Day, where he uses his fishing line to pull a random player within 45 yards directly in front of him. He will also cast Fillet of Flesh, dealing 500% weapon damage to all players within 10 yards of him. The 5th boss of Blackfathom Deeps is Guardian of the Deep. This giant crab uses one of the many caves attached to the temple as a spawning ground for its eggs to hatch and be released into the waterways throughout Azeroth. Besides that and having to deal with the dimwit known as Throck, there's not much else to say about this boss. There's not much reason as to why we'd want to stop its eggs from hatching, other than the obvious, hey look, a giant crab, let's see if it drops any loot. There's nothing on the possibility that the crab has been corrupted or influenced in some way by the Twilight's hammer, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that because of the distinct purple glow that it has on its body, it probably is. During the fight, the Guardian of the Deep will periodically cast Spore Cloud at random enemy locations where Guardian hatchlings will spawn and attack nearby players. It will also cast Devour on a nearby blue shale crawler, killing the crawler and healing the boss for 25% of its health. The 6th boss of Blackfathom Deeps is Executioner Gore. Gore sticks to his name and his title by dragging innocents to their deaths in order to feed Akumai. This is pretty much his only job, and it doesn't seem like Gore is complaining very much, so he must take quite some joy in it. I can imagine him and Domina being pretty close friends. During the fight, Gore will choose a random player and cast Devouring Blackness, immobilizing and draining their life over 6 seconds. This effect also heals Gore a bit. He will also periodically cast Executioner's Strike, attacking players within a cone in front of him, as well as leaving a ground effect that persists in the same cone area for some time. This last bit isn't really a fight mechanic, but it's worth mentioning since it's happened every time I go through this dungeon on one of my alts. Gore is located on a relatively small platform surrounded by a circle of pillars. He must remain inside this circle of pillars for the entirety of the fight, or he will despawn the moment he steps foot outside. He will respawn, but it'll take a minute, and the fight will have to start all over again. The 7th boss of Blackfathom Deeps is Twilight Lord Bathiel. Bathiel is an elemental ascended lord of the Twilight's Hammer cult. He allows for absolutely no failures in his subordinates, meaning that you either succeed or die in his book. Bathiel even fed the previous overseer of the temple to Akumai when he originally took over the cult's operations. During the fight, Bathiel will periodically cast Restorative Waters, summoning many Restorative Water elementals throughout the room that make their way back to the Twilight Lord. If any make it back to Bathiel, each will heal him for 5% of his maximum health, as well as deal frost damage to any players within 5 yards. Needless to say, these water elementals need to be taken down before they can get back to Bathiel. The 8th and final boss of Blackfathom Deeps is Akumai. Known as the Harbinger of the Old Gods, Akumai is the primordial beings' favorite pet, and as such, receives much praise and worship from the Twilight's Hammer cult. They revere Akumai as a god in his own right, and see him as a sign that the Old Gods will return soon to Azeroth in all of their glory. On a less lore-oriented note, and more graphical one, the changes brought to Akumai's character model, which happened in patch 6.0.2, look absolutely amazing. He went from being some random hydra wandering around a half-flooded cave to this monstrous creature you'd actually believe to be the favored pet of the old gods. During the fight, Akumai will periodically cast Tearing the Void, allowing more of his tentacles to spawn from the ground and the walls. These tentacles actually do quite a bit of damage if left unchecked, and should be the focus of damage while they're up. He also casts Falling Debris, causing rocks to fall on random locations around the chamber that will cause damage to any players standing within circles. Akumai will summon another one of his heads, this one purple, early on in the fight, which causes lots of poison damage to players. The poison head will periodically cast Toxic Bite on a random player, affecting them with a poison DOT, and leaving a pool of poison in place of where the affected player was standing. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode, and maybe even learned something new about Blackfathom Deeps. Next dungeon overview, we're going to go over the Stormwind Stockades, so you have that to look forward to. And as always, leave your comments in the comment section below if you want me to play anything like more Ion, more World of Warcraft, more Borderlands, more Sniper Elite 2, more Path of Exile, or anything else that you could possibly think of. I will post the link to the armory page for my druid in the description below as well. And as always, the comment question still stands. Try and guess the intro and outro songs to my videos. They're always the same. I never change them. Be sure to follow me on Instagram for the latest updates on when I'll be uploading YouTube videos, as well as when I'll be streaming on Twitch and some other usually comical gaming-related posts. So there's that. Be sure to follow my partner in crime, Sir John Mac's channel. He posts something every now and then, and it's usually pretty entertaining, whatever it is. And be sure to like and subscribe to my videos. It would sure mean a lot. And that's all the time we got for today, guys. So until next time, don't die.